Good evening, Steelers. I'm hoping everybody can hear me. Looks like everything's running on this side of things, so do let me know if you can't hear me. I'm fairly sure you can. Let's see who's in already. Aled, evening Aled. Building T-34s for O Group. Journey Command, good stuff. John still at work on this side of the pond, planning on building the support weapons for your late war German group, O Group. Excellent. What work do you actually do, John, that allows you to watch YouTube videos? Must be good. Barnes, still painting Arabs, fantastic battles. O Group and Chain of Command Itch is still there, good stuff. Loud and clear, good stuff. O Group Each is real, you blame me. Rich, Clark and Alex were the ones that got me back into hobby after 20 years. Oh, that's good to hear. Charles says, you're giving up looking for missing paint. Side effect, the room is a lot neater. That's always good. A friend wants me to start building regular models again with miniatures, hex and counter games. Grandkids, no time. Loud and clear. Gone to good. Dex, evening. Dex. Alex said loud and clear. John Soil, sounds good, good. Evening, Ken. Evening, Richard. Evening, Julian from New Zealand. Excellent. Work from home in logistics. Ah, that makes sense. Rich says, evening, painting 100 Years War. English archers tonight for Line Rampant. And Wargaming World, even though still painting Belgians for 1914. Excellent. Good stuff. Good to have everybody on board. Hit that like button. Evening, James. Good to see you here and present, everybody. First live stream for a couple of weeks, because obviously my wife has been over for a little while. She's still here, but she's currently down in London visiting her sisters. So evening, Jonas. I thought I'd jump on and do a quick live stream and have a chat to everybody. Might be a Soviet evening, not T-34s but T-70s and a few Russian infantry for Chain of Command. Good stuff. Jonas says tonight you're putting snow effects on German Stalingrad bases. Excellent. What a good mix of everybody. Well, tonight, earlier on this evening, I finished off this little yard that I made. This is from Sabotaged. I just did some 3D embossed plastic art and some 3D printed walls and fences. And that's really it. And just put a little bit of stuff on it. I just thought I'll just make up another little yard, a little work yard or whatever. So lovely to be in such fine company, eh? Absolutely. It always is. So I've kind of finished that off. That's just a little thing I was doing. It's been sat there for a little while. And the other thing I'm doing, you can see right in front of me here, is I've got a ton of British and German First World War. These are all Peter Pig. I had to order some more Germans because I just didn't have enough to finish off their platoon. I should have worked it out before. But I've got a platoon of British here. Evening, Kevin. Good to have you all. Sounds okay. Paint some 28mm walls. Good stuff. Evening, James. And so I've got a platoon here. So we've got rifles at the front, bombers second row, Rifle Grenadiers third row, and then finally Lewis team at the back. And then I've also got a few spares as well. Evening, Peter. Good to have you on board. Germans on the other side, they've got a bomber team there, and then they've also got a LMG. No, yes, another bomber team, but I need another bomber because these ones are going to go in my old platoon. And then I've also got an LMG team and half of an LMG team, so I need a couple more sections. So I need a couple more bits and pieces in there. Where we at? It's lunchtime in Pacific Northwest. Good stuff. Some 15mm British tonight, along with making some hedgerows. Excellent. I've been thinking about upgrading my my trees. I've had them for such a long time. I was just thinking, I don't know where the best 15mm trees are though. Who makes them? And I can't be bothered to make my own, to be perfectly honest. Ken says you're painting 28mm Fireforge men-at-arms for Lion Rampant whilst watching. Good stuff. As I say, hit the like button. There's 16 of you watching, I can see, and only 6 likes, so turn that around. Right, so I'm kind of going to work my way through these. I'm just going to do it. It's going to be a slow process, but we're going to do it. I'm going to try to get the flesh on as much of these. I don't think I'm going to get these finished. I'll never get them finished tonight, but I will be. I'll be cracking on at least some way with them. Tonight's order of business is going to be tidying up the workroom because, frankly, it's a shit tip. There goes my monetisation. Evening, Andy. Good to have you on board. And other Andy, Andy P. Hi all, sorry you're late. Don't worry, we're only 5 minutes late, Andy, and you can always watch it on the catch up anyway. There's nobody taking names. There's not a register. Don't worry about that. Come and go as you please. So, in other news, you've gone 20mm bases rather than the 15 for the big men. Boy, does it make it easier to spot. Yeah, I've done the same with my Through the Mud and Blood. They're all on pennies, the big men, because they are because I've also put labels on them as well. So yeah, and they do stand out a little bit more on the tabletop. And all of mine have got names as well for the for Through the Mud and the Blood. So look. So sorry, just going to get some of this paint out and I'll come back to chat. What we're saying. Also in the market for 50mm trees. Sheckens Bruce has some good cheap Chinese trees at the club the other night. Yeah, no, the Chinese ones aren't too bad. I've got a load of Chinese ones, and yeah, they're okay, but I want some really nice ones actually. Evening, Steve, Lazy Pirate. I've got quite a lot of Chinese ones that I use for orchards and things, but I want some that look like, you know, the ones that a lot of people have got for 28mm. So I'm on the lookout for them, and I'm not seeing many that are medium price and good. So if anybody knows of any, let us know. So in good news, the channel hit 9,000 subscribers yesterday. It was just on it, and then I put out the hobby update because I got a couple of minutes to sit down and do that, and then I went over 9,000 subscribers, which is fantastic. Looking forward to hitting 10,000 subscribers at some point, but the rate that I'm gaining subscribers, it'll probably take, I think, about 4 months. Specifically 15mm birch trees. Yeah, paint them, I suppose, is the only way to do that, Dex, is just to make them yourself and paint them. I know some people over on Twitter have done birch trees. I think it might be Pear from Roller One. I think he made some birch trees, not pear trees, and they look pretty good as well because he was doing them for Sweden, for the Swedish. Congrats, thank you, John. For 9,000 subs. Yeah, I'm over the moon. Well chuffed about it. Hopefully it'll just keep going up and not down, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm quite happy at the rate of growth of the channel, which is always good. It's what it's all about, isn't it? All about the clicks and likes. So what's everybody else up to then tonight, or what else? What new projects are you all working on, if anything? I'm doing these because these aren't going to be finished by Thursday, but I'm taking Through the Mud and Blood down to the club because Dex and I won't be able to get our next game of the 29 Let's Go PSC in, because I think you're away, aren't you, Dex? And so I don't think we'll get that done until December. And actually, speaking of which, Dex, I'm going to be down in Devon for a meeting on the 1st of December, so I don't think I'm going to be at the club on that Thursday because I'll be driving up from Devon that day, so I don't think I'm going to be available. So it's probably going to have to be the week after, I think. It seems like at the moment I've got a lot of stuff coming up again. Only a few days spare, I'm afraid. You're reading Dead Man's Hands rules. Great Escape Games. I was reading. I did a quick review of. Well, not quick. It was half an hour review of their 1914 rules earlier on. I recorded that, so I'll put that out as a video, possibly next week, I think. I'll just lay it out at some point, so I'll just keep an eye out for that. And what else are we saying? Got music gigs for the next 2 weekends, so no gaming stuff for Thanksgiving over here. Well, something's got to give. There's nothing wrong with going to gigs. Who are you going to see, John? Or bands? Or performers? Half of these fellas have got gas masks on, so I've got to work that out. I've got to work out who's who, and some of them have got leather jerkins on as well. So I've got to work that out as to which is which. I can't remember. I should have separated them at the start. But never mind. Evening, Terry. Good to have you on board. What are you painting tonight, Terry? Anything? Or nothing? Or are you just avoiding the Great British Bake Off? Who knows? So don't forget to hit that like button. I do like these Peter Pig First World War figures. I think they're really nice. They're lovely little things. I've got tons of them for square bashing, and then I've got a load more for Through the Mud and the Blood. Let's say I kind of want to increase it. What do you say, Jonas? Looking at the amount of vehicles I built to have something to paint this winter, it's going to be a long winter. Good stuff. Performing yourself. Wife and I do folk songs at medieval festivals in the area. Excellent. Excellent. What a varied audience I have. Excellent stuff. But yeah, I got a copy of the Play the Game, which is a compilation of all the First World War articles in the Lardy magazines, including the If the Lord Should Spare Us and stuff as well, which I've got a copy of, but I've only ever played it with Ken, Yorkshire Gamer, at Steel Lard. But it's got a load of Through the Mud and Blood bits and pieces in it, and also First World War Chain of Command as well. So I've just sent that off to Docs Direct to get printed. It's nearly 300 pages of articles and stuff. Terry's just doing some desert scatter pots and the like. Oh, sorry, Steve, missed him. Tonight I'm sorting out some 28mm desert stuff for Bolt Action and the Halfling stuff for Kings of War. PP figures take a wash well, yeah, they do. Rules to read, the Mighty Endeavour, Hex and Count. I've got orcs and some skeletons that need building and painting and need to start plan next skirmish. 35-45 side. And I was looking in at some of the scenarios earlier on today, and they're much bigger than the usual ones. It's usually at least a couple of platoons. So I'd like to actually do Mud and Blood with a couple of platoons on the table. That would be interesting. I've not done that. The most I've ever really done is just one platoon. So it'd be good to get a big game out of it. Maybe something to do down at the club one night, I think, maybe, if anybody is interested in it. Or maybe one of those club days that we have. I think that would be a good way to do it. But yeah, you use the PP World War I Brits for a very British War Civil War. Yeah, Soldiers of Creative Pass. Yeah, I've got those as well. I use those as big men. But they're also mixed in on my square bashing bases as well. Oh, they're all in there. But yeah, they're great. The sportsmen, British sportsmen. You love the Peter Pig miniatures. Yeah, these got a huge range. There's all sorts in there. I just wish they did Napoleonics. But they don't. Apart from a few French guardsmen surrendering or something. But yeah. So who else is out there? It's 25 you're watching. 16 likes. Go on, hit that like button. Do me a favour. Get those algorithms pumping. And get it jumping up and down. I just remembered how much of a good game Through the Mud and the Blood is. And it's funny because it was the first Lardy game that we tried to play and just didn't like it at all. You've got a few Chain of Commands campaigns getting printed along with the QRS from Ducks. Picked up some Battlefront minis from the 21st Planet, wacky vehicles for Camp Crew Con Look, excellent. You're slowly working your way through some late war British rogue group, excellent. 15mm Battlefront. And we'll soon be ready. 100 per side orcs versus medieval humans. Hopefully ready by Christmas. Good old Christmas game. I've been thinking about what my Christmas game for the channel is going to be actually. it's about time that I need to record it, because we're getting to that point, and I like to have a Christmassy game. Last year's was O Group, Romanians and Soviets in O Group. Before that, it was the Battle of the Bulge. I'm trying to think of maybe a First World War one. Possibly the Battle of Bullecourt. That was fought during snow. That might be an idea. It wasn't Christmas, but it was certainly fought in the snow. And then at least I can have some tanks in there as well. Australians and tanks attacking into the German Hindenburg line. We'll see. Where we at? You bought Through the Mud and Blood years back. My mate brought a number of figures. He said I bought the wrong ones. Never played. Well, I'm not sure which ones you bought. Would that be your recommendation, Alex? Mud and Blood? Yeah, 100%. It's November. You can't mention the C word. No, but you got to plan for it, James. My wife's already asking me what it is I want for Christmas, and I say just look at my Amazon wish list. Yeah, John, I would also recommend Square Bashing as well. It's a great game. It's a bit more gamey, but it's still a good game. Never had a bad game of Square Bashing. But Through the Mud and Blood is a great set of rules. It really works. It's perfect for the period. But of course, I wouldn't say that. But it's based on all the proper historical tactical doctrines. And I was looking at even doing the Canadian cavalry attack of 1918 at near Murray Wood, attacking with whippets. In 1918, that's one of the scenarios in the play the game. That would be a good one, because I've got a cavalry, I've got whippets. That would just be an interesting thing to do. I'm not sure if I've got enough Germans yet, but I'm sure I have. Yeah, Through the Mud and Blood would be good. Yeah, I might do that. I've just it's kind of a light bulb moment just came on there, Andy. I think played Through Mud and Blood Lardy day in Bedford and liked it. Yeah, you played it with was it Chinese warlords? Was it Colin Murray or Col Murray who did it? Ken. It was same period, wasn't it? Not the First World War, but bolt action period. You could have a Christmas Day football match between the trenches. No, not at all. What are the key differences between Mud and Blood World War One, apart from the card activator versus dice? Largely that's it, Terry. There's ever so slight differences in the rules. I think in Mud and Blood the rifles cause a bit more shock. There's more chance of them causing shock. But they are, if you know chain of command, you pretty much know the way that it goes. Like the close combat rules are the same. The firing to hit is the same. The saving is relatively the same. You've got first edition Square Bashing. Is updated? Yes, Julian, 100%. First edition compared to the second edition, they're two different games, and the second edition is just much better. It's a much smoother system. It's far easier to play. There's a lot more in it as well, like the pre-game bombardment. There's all sorts of stuff like assets and things that you just don't get in the original version. It's a way better game. I wouldn't even hesitate to buy it, to be honest. Yes, so what's the key differences between? Like I said, really, it's about the same. I think the firing chart in Chain of Command, you take shock. Let's say if you're in the open and you get shot, you take shock on a 3 to a 4, and then you are killed or your figures are killed on a 5 or a 6. In Through the Mud and Blood, you take shock on a 2 up. I think, off the top of my head, it's like just there's a slight difference there. But obviously there's also the other thing as well is automatic weapons like Lewis guns and the 0815 or whatever it's called. That's if you roll more ones than sixes, you get a stoppage, and it's a really nice way of actually dealing with the stoppage as well, because what they do is you take the firepower of the dice, of the firepower dice of the gun. So for a Lewis, 8 dice, and then you roll one dice, and if you get a 5 or a 6, you've cleared the stoppage. But every dice that you've rolled to get that 5 and a 6, you roll one at a time. You take that off your multiple. So if it says you take 3 dice to roll your 5 or a 6, you only fire with another 5 dice. It's quite a nice little system, really. What was the other thing? It's just something else that struck me there. There's obviously, weapons like rifle grenadiers and things like that. And there was something else I just thought of. Oh yeah, it's more like sharp practice, in that you get 2 actions. So the big men activate on the card, and they have a command status, and that gives them their amount of actions or activations they can do. And then the units themselves have 2 actions, so each section would have 2 actions in a turn, which they can either fire or move and move, or fire and fire. And if you fire with 1 action, you only use half the dice, and so you can move, and then you can fire with half the dice, or you could just stop still and do a full move. And there's stuff like get down and things. There's most of it's got similar to Chain of Command, in that so a lot of the orders are similar. They're just different names. That's it. Double ones, you're out of ammo with your tanks, as I found to your cost. Yeah, it's the same with bombers. I think if you roll, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's something like if you roll 2 more 1s than 6s in your roll, then you are out of bombs, or you get 1 more turn of bombing. So yeah, there's nice little things like that come up, because obviously everything's a little bit more experimental than it is in the Second World War. But it's a really good set of rules. I really like it a lot. It's kind of like a cross between Chain of Command and sharp practice, with the card activations and but then with automatic weapons, basically. The one thing I would say is probably add force morale, because it doesn't have force morale in it. Because it's I think it's very similar to the original sharp practice. He says, having never played the original sharp practice, but the second edition that's got force morale in it and stuff, I think if I was to play it, I would add force morale, because otherwise it's a bit of a fight to the death kind of thing. Whereas if you stick force morale on and just take it either straight out of sharp practice or even out of Chain of Command, you'll be perfectly fine. I mean, no worries with that. Did you only take one of the classic Lardy tanks that only has 1 in the spell and move 2 inch all game? You have to move fast, or on a road, and you move faster than 2 inch. But yeah, I was thinking I might. I think Bullet Corps would be a classic Christmas game. I think maybe even a big one, a couple of platoons with tank support against the Hindenburg line. That'll be classic. Right, 30 of you watching there, and only 19 likes. Hit the like button, folks, if you're enjoying it, and also just say hello in the chat as well. Only takes a second. Just tell us who's out there. Don't be shy. It's a big party and everybody's invited. It's a painting party. I painted the helmets on these earlier on as well, and I shouldn't have done. I should have waited, really, because I'm getting flesh all over. I'm going to have to go back and do the helmets and the uniforms as well. Just to tidy some of these up, because I'm trying to speed through them a little bit, but and I'm making a bit of a mess. But that's all the fun, isn't it? We had a FT-17 was going to grade till the commander got killed. Yeah, Moonlight Massacre, 2nd December 17, last fight in the Ypres Sailington Snow. Yeah, I've got the book somewhere, Andy, kicking about the Moonlight Massacre one. I could do. I'll have a look at it. I'll see what I can dig up. I'm fairly sure I can come up with something. And I think Bullet might be the one though, just because it's got tanks, it's got snow, and I've also dug it up several times over the years, so it means a bit to me. I can do Lieutenant Skinner's 796 attack on the Hindenburg line. I don't think I've even actually used tanks in Through the Mud and the Blood yet, so that'll be a good test. So that's the Gunner Commander loader, all gone in one. Got to love French tanks. Sorry, cleaning your airbrush. Swear box is full of the amount of times I said good gracious evening. Tell you more, Dougie. Tales from Shed HQ. Tell me bored. Tiny will get you another 5 likes. Yeah, she's downstairs. The radiator's on, so she's sat in a little what's it called? A little hammock in the bathroom. She won't come up. I asked her, and she said no. So I do apologise. I'm sure she would get me 5 more likes, but yeah, she's playing the diva tonight, unfortunately. Little swine. Moonlight Massacre is a big tome. My editor Michael wrote it, but Bullet is good. It certainly is. French tank commanders busy in the proverbial one-armed paper hanger. Yeah, they were. Those poor fellas were under some duress, weren't they? But tank design of the 20s and 30s, you know. Unfortunately, nobody really had a chance to try it out, and also, you're banjaxed by the limitations of technology anyway, aren't you? You can only make them so big because engines are only so big. It's not really till the war starts, is it, that stuff starts to develop a lot more. So yeah, poor fellas. I was reading Peter Hart's Burning Steel, which I did a review of a while back, about the 2nd, 4th and 4th yeomanry, and they were training in basically in cardboard boxes. Well, they weren't even in cardboard boxes when they started. They were just running around together on the training ground. Incredible. Great stuff. But, you know, needs must when you don't have tanks, when they're not building them fast enough. Yeah, I'm getting through these at least. At least like I say, I'm going to try to make an attempt to get these. I don't know if I'm being overly optimistic by doing all of the figures at once, because there's quite a number of them here. So I don't know if I should just concentrate on just a few. I think once I've got the flesh on them all, I'll probably just break them down into maybe 20 or so, and just finish them off in a couple of batches rather than trying to do them all at once, because it gets very boring, I find, just painting the same paint over and over again on hundreds of figures. Well, it's not hundreds, but it's like, I don't know, there's at least 10 packs here, I think. So there's nearly 100 figures. So I might just do it in bits to save me poor eyes, if nothing else. Certainly something about wartime advancing technology quicker than peacetime. Just look at the advances in aircraft. Yeah. If you look at I mean, they only flew in 1904 for the first time, aircraft, and compare that to the late war stuff. It's an incredible leap in 14 years. It's a huge leap in technology. Yeah, absolutely. Well, same with tanks. I mean, look at the ones in 1939 that they were fighting in, and then the ones in 1945 that were being developed and brought out. Huge leaps again. War, what is it good for? Technology, medical advances, all those things. I've also, very cleverly as well this time round, because I didn't do it the first time, is I've actually painted the bases of these as well in their different unit colours, so I can find them a lot quicker than having to sort them out at the start of every game. That was always a pain in the bum. I say some of these lads are all gas masked up, which I will paint separately. There we are. 30 of you watching. Good stuff. Good to see the audiences increase. Sorry, just concentrating, so I've gone quiet. Let's have a look. Don't worry, the microphone hasn't broken. I'm just painting for some very small men. That was the other thing I was doing earlier on. I was recording a voiceover for my next O Group video, where I'm going to be looking at Second World War tactics in a bit more depth. So I need to, now I've done the hard bit is the writing the script and then recording it, recording the voiceover and then editing that. So I did that earlier. That took a while, but the relatively easy part is now the filming bit, because I now know what I'm going to film, so I just need to get it all set up. And then obviously editing, but once you've filmed those bits, it should fall together relatively easy. But I don't think that won't be ready probably until New Year, into the new year, I would have thought. But it's another one. Voiceover. I hope you're doing different voices for different characters. Yeah, I had squeaky voices, deep voices, you name it, Dex. It's like Monty Python. No, Dex, I write a script and then I read it out. Sorry to give the magic away, but then at least that way I know what I want to say. Otherwise, it'd be a bit of a mess. And also, it means that I read the rules as well, so I can actually get the bleeding things right. I might not get them right in games, but at least if I can try to get them right on those kind of videos. Next, that would be funny. That was an interesting video on O Group Tactics. Yeah, it's going to be along the same lines, Ken, as that one. The O Group Primer was excellent, thank you. Great to see how the game really reflects actual tactics. Yeah, this one I've delved a little bit more into the American training pamphlets about how to eliminate strong points. I'm going to do another one at some point on combat patrols and how they really should be used in the game, because I'm starting to learn them myself. Because there's always a tendency as wargamers to want to get all the toys on the table, and you really shouldn't. Hold a little bit back. That's always the way. Don't give away everything straight away. And the longer you can hold back before you know what they're doing, the better. But O Group certainly rewards playing period tactics. If you just pile forward, you're not going to get very far. And I've learned that the hard way. On several occasions. Mark says, by the way, I got a complete 1960s Merklin train starter set from a friend. Should I consider myself doing 3D from miniature wargaming? No. Do you know, I like train sets. I've never... when I was a kid, I always wanted one. I was very much jealous of people who did have a train, a model train set up. And I like them a lot. And I like, they sometimes have them, publicly accessed ones. There used to be one in York by the train station. I don't think it's open anymore, a model train area. But I like them. I really like them. I've always liked them. I think they're great. The amount of detail and stuff that you can put in on them. There's something very satisfying about it. So I say go for it. Do it. Absolutely do it. John says, you get the feeling you should really use combat patrols as ways to shut down areas and to completely fox your opponent. Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's what they're blinds, and they're also reconnaissance units. I mean, the thing is, I've thought this myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people think, is you get 3 per company, and when you've deployed, say, 2 of your platoons of that company, you think to yourself, well, what's the point in putting out more combat patrols, because it doesn't, I've only got 1 more company to come on, only 1 more platoon to come on, so I may as well just put 1 out. And then you think, well, actually, no, wait a minute, if I put 3 out, that gives me 3 choices as to where to put that 3rd company. Plus, like you say, it keeps your enemy on their toes, because they don't know which one you're going to deploy onto. Plus, you can use them as recon units anyway to flush out any ambush units. So, all kinds of stuff, really. Even though you've still got those units, and also, you may even have other units that are attached to your company, like anti-tank guns or things that you can still deploy onto your combat patrol, or individual sections. So again, you may as well just keep them on the table for as long as you can, just to, like you say, fox the opponent. Sell it to Ken at PCP. He's probably got some Vikings he could trade. But it's not 3D printed. Yeah, that's his latest thing, isn't it? An expert in 3D printing all of a sudden. Bless. It is the future of the hobby, though. 100%. I think it is. Things are going to go that way. Whether the hobby goes 100% that way is debatable, but it's already got a large part of the hobby interested, and I think it's largely a younger generation's thing, probably, than an older folks' generation thing. I mean, I get mine. I buy mine from Paul over at Sabotaged, and I can't really justify the price of a 3D printer myself, so it kind of also keeps me in the straight and narrow as well of not having too much stuff printed. But I can certainly see, it going that way if I were to buy it. If I were to buy one, I'd certainly put it to use. Mostly for terrain, I think, but I've still got all that tabletop studio terrain, so I really don't really need much terrain at the moment. I'm still finishing off a load of the old 3D printed stuff that I got from Paul anyway, from Sabotaged. So I do have quite a lot of stuff to get through, so getting a printer and printing even more stuff at this point. I think for me I'll probably be printing out Star Wars Legion stuff. That's probably the route I would go if I had a printer, just because I'd want to add to the Legion stuff I've got, and I don't really want to pay an arm and a leg for more of the figures. With you on that. I bought some stuff that's been printed but can't see myself getting one. Yeah. And again, there's other people that know how to use those things much better than I could. And I know they're getting more user-friendly, you know, plug-and-play kind of thing these days compared to what they were even 5 years ago. But yeah, even so, it's I don't know if it would be a flash in the pan for me, I guess. And as I say, I'm more than happy for somebody else to make and design and print stuff for me. Just throw money at them. You see the attraction, especially for unusual vehicles. Yeah. Well, yeah, Richard, who's in the chat, or he was in chat earlier, I don't know if he's still around, he introduced me to the Bergman models, and he does a lot of unusual stuff, and Richard's printed quite a few of them out for me, which are still sitting in the to paint pile, but they will be painted. So yes, you know, there's loads of people out there sculpting that kind of stuff, weird marks that you just can't get as model kits or as any other kind of kits. Evening, Duke Wellington. Good day from the land of Oz. Good stuff. So we've got a New Zealander in. Now we've got an Australian in. Excellent. We've got some Americans in and some Brits. Oh, and Jonas, you're Sweden, aren't you? Not Norway. I'm right in thinking. So we're covering most of the globe at this point. We just need somebody from South Africa, I think. Or maybe Antarctica. So if there's anybody in from South Africa still here, get a printer. Well, like I say, Richard, I mean, it's the I'm justifying the outlay. At the moment, I'm thinking of getting a new telly, so I don't know if a telly would win out over a printer at this point, unless you could 3D print out a telly. I don't know if it'd be HD or not. But yes, the problem is I'll be swimming in resin, I think, by the end of the week if I did get a printer. Bought quite a bit of 3D printed stuff, but no interest in getting it to do it myself. Too complex for me. Yeah, I think I'm of that thoughts as well, Steve. And I like it. I mean, I think, you know, the resin stuff is really good. I got some really old Bristol fighters from Shapeways. God, they must be about 15 years ago, and you look at them now and they're just terrible. And compared to the resin that prints now, Willy Wonka can. The amount of difference between whatever I can't even remember what material it was that they were using, but you know, you can see lines on them, those mold lines or whatever they call them, printing lines, and they just look horrible. That's what I brought in the main stuff for Cruel Seas, given it's hard to pick up. Yeah, I think you mentioned that before. Yesterday, maybe pick up stuff in the US. Found someone who does a wrapping schlepper, which I'll pick up for use of the tote. Excellent. You're thinking of getting a printer, but when we move by, I think I would need a bigger square box. I'm with you on that, Dougie. There would certainly be a lot of swearing going on. I would be saying flipping heck quite a lot. Yes. Indeed. Alright, don't forget folks, 30 odd of you watching, so hit the like button please. And also if you're not subscribed to the channel, do so. Right. So I think tonight, what time are we on? Been at it 45 minutes so far. So slow process this, but I think what I'm going to do tonight, I'm just going to do the flesh on all these figures, and I'm going to get through them all, and then I will probably start to separate them down into their uniforms then, because that's the basic stuff done, and then I'll paint them in batches, I think, smaller batches, because he's driving me mad as it is. But I'll get these Germans done. I'll do the flesh on these Germans first of all, and then I think that I'll call that tonight. We'll see where we go. I'm still going to be doing it for a while, so don't worry. Sweden, but if Norway wants to restore our unit, we could say, I'll call myself Norwegian. Yes, as Dex said, they're ideal for vehicles, but they'll never be commercially viable for companies to produce. Yeah, I was actually asking Paul. I asked him this morning at Sabotaged if you could design and print a German anti-aircraft quick-fire 7.7 centimetre gun mounted on the back of a truck for the First World War. And he said I could, and it'd take me ages, and nobody else would want to buy one. So that was pretty much a no. Just as long as you don't end up Danish. Danske Devil, the Danish Devils, as they call them in Iceland. They've got no love for the Danes up there. So yeah, I'm currently looking. QRF do a nice German Opel 14 truck, but I need the 77mm or 7.7 centimetre flak gun to mount on the back, and annoyingly nobody does one in a flak version. So if anybody's out there who wants to print one, then congratulations Nike. Thank you Duke, much appreciated. I'm very much bowled over by it myself. It's a nice milestone to have. When I started this channel, I never thought I'd be at this point, so that's good. In 15mm, you'd have some. Well, some of the German flak vehicles. Well, email Paul. If enough of us do it, then he might make them. You need to friends with 3D printers who love printing stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Well, the problem is if they're doing it for free for you, you don't want to take the piss. So I'm happy to pay for it, because I know it takes somebody time and materials. And Paul down at the club's printed me quite a lot of stuff off, and I've always said to him, look, I'm more than happy to pay you for it. And he won't take payment, but then you're also taking away from them printing stuff they want to do as well. So if somebody offered, I'd be happy, but like Richard, but I don't want to take the piss, because it's their time, electricity and materials that you're using. And I know most people don't care, they don't give a fuck, but even so. What are you painting tonight anyway, Duke Wellington? Hopefully you're not at Waterloo. What time is it actually in Australia, or even in New Zealand? Whoever it was who was in New Zealand earlier on, I can't remember, it was a while ago. We're getting there. The one thing I don't like about the Peter Pig First World War stuff is that in each pack they have an officer figure like that. Like what, Richard? Are you trying to share a link? Because I don't think it takes links in chat if you are. Yeah, they include an officer figure in each pack rather than having an individual set of officers. So you only actually get 7, figures doing something. So only 7 riflemen, 7 what you call it, and then you also get the officers. So every time you buy a pack, you get tons of officers. But I'm going to use them as signalmen and things, and also as trench raiders as well. They could be used for that because I've already got the big men I need. You're in town, Sir Richard. I'm assuming you tried to share something there. You love the AB miniatures for their officer packs. Yeah, I like individual officer packs, and the AB stuff is nice, and their officers are very nice as well. Because they're AB miniatures, aren't they? They're great. They're just the ultimate, really, in whatever scale you play. But yeah, I think that's my main gripe with the Peter Pig First World War stuff. I suppose it's because it's a relatively small range. It's not like in the Second World War where they have individual officer packs. Everything's kind of lumped in together. But they am what they am. And they work well for what I want. And that's all that counts. Officers, put some together for a HQ unit. Yeah, well, like I say, I'll use them either as signalsmen or possibly even artillerymen and things, kicking about. And yeah, there's you could put them as clerks. All kinds of stuff with them, really. It's just really, it's more to do with the fact that there's fewer figures in the pack. Red Eagle minis make a German World War One 7.7 flak in 1/4. Yeah, useful for Wings of War, Terry, but not for Through the Mud and the Blood. There's one of the scenarios in the Stout Hearts 9 Troopers book that I want to try, and it's got a flag cannon on the back of a truck, mounted on the back of a truck as part of the game. God knows where they got one from when they were testing the games out, but yeah, they don't do them in 15mm. I wish they did, and I couldn't find any STLs of them either. So I couldn't even think about sending one over to my man in Sabotaged. It's just one of those things. It's just like a desirable thing that I'll probably forget about at some point, but I just like it. I'm kind of getting a bit of a hankering for First World War wargame at the moment, and I'm pushing myself a bit into it. That's kind of why I got all these figures, like I said, to play bigger games of Through the Mud and the Blood instead of just doing them single platoon. Let's have a couple of platoons on the table so they can fight in cooperation. What time are we on? I'm nearly done. Like I say, I'm gonna paint the flesh on these fellas, and then I'm going to call that tonight. There's only a handful left to do, and then I'll just I'll work on the other bits and pieces as and when. There's no chance of me getting them finished. There's always something that's missing for what you want in a mini pack. The 20mm PSC late war British pack doesn't have Piats, for example, but does have a few medics. I'm surprised it doesn't have Piats in the. They have them in the 15mm late war British, but 20mm is different, obviously. You're painting Cruel Seals, Vespa MTBs, and Schnell boats in the moment. No interest in the Warlord rules, but the models are nice, if a bit fiddly to make with your sausage fingers. Just don't glue your hands together, Andy. That would be a disaster. There we go. There's obviously quite a few lurkers out there tonight that are watching, staying silent. Let yourselves be known. Come forth. So for these figures, I'm following my old painting instructions, which I stole and simplified from Sidney Roundwood. He did a really good painting guide for the First World War, British and Germans. It's over on his website, but because he was doing them in 28mm, I simplified it for 15mm. That was the idea. QRF to a 15mm German Opel, yes, I do that, and the 7.7 gun separately. Yeah, the gun's got a shield on it, and I want it without a shield. That's the thing. I'm being very specific here, Dex. That's the problem. I was looking at that. The company that makes glue and sticks plastic and metal better than it sticks my fingers will have my money. The cruel siggy fee rules go down well at the club because they're simple. I can run an entertaining game in 2 hours for 4 people a side. I've never played them, John. But I've never been that fussed about Warlord's rules. But yeah, I mean, they kind of go for simplicity over anything else, and if they play well and if the club enjoy them, that's all that matters, isn't it? At the end of the day. You're in the queue, same here, Dex. You want to try the Lardy rules. The only ship rules they have is Kiss Me Hardy, which I played a couple of times at Steel Lard and at Ebor Lard and enjoyed a lot. But naval gaming is not really my period. But I think a lot of people, not just me, have said to Nick that Kiss Me Hardy need a 2nd edition. But he is a bit busy. I don't think Cruel Seas was that bad. Black Seas is great fun though. Tried Bolt Action once, never again. I played Bolt Action at the Expo when I was down there with the Luke Fellows' board that he'd made for Duncan. And yes, it worked well for introducing people to wargaming, but it didn't really hold my interest as a game. But there's plenty of people out there that do like it, so if they like it, that's fair fucks to them. That's all I could say. But yeah, there goes monetization again. Let's have a look. A first view tonight. Friends General Hug playing Shaku and Sprues. James asked me if I'd ever painted first core figures. I hadn't. I had to accept the challenge. Nice. Irregular minis make 50 types of artillery, including Luftkanon, the German First World War AA gun. Oh, I didn't see the Luftkanon. I was looking at irregular stuff. Yeah, is there a photo of it, Terry? Shaco's the infamous Windy Bow game. Enjoying them. Friends of General Haig need to get some order. They look lovely. I missed the I was looking down irregulars, really useful guns thing. Problem with irregular is they're always a bit crap. Is that the right word? Well, they're hit and miss. They do a lot of stuff. Some stuff is good, some stuff is not so good. So I kind of want a photograph of it first, but maybe I don't know. I might be able to do something with it. I'll have a look when I've finished the stream. I'll go and see if I can get it. And if it's only a few quid, I'll probably just buy it anyway. See if I can fit it together. See if it works. But yeah, I didn't really realise it's gun type 3D, but no picture on the sides. Okay. I'll certainly have a look for that then. Righty all, that's your lot. Cheers for a nice bit of company to a lot of cleaning. Oh, good stuff. No idea done, of course. Ah well, James, keep cracking on. Thanks for joining us. Come and play my Bolt Action game at Hammerhead next year. Okay, I will do, Eccentric Man. I'm sure it'll be fun, Ken. I'm sure it'll be fun. And as I say, you know, plenty of people like Bolt Action. I'm just not one of them. But yeah, I'll come and play. I'll at least come and say hello, if not if I don't play. Jonas says you're happy with bolt action. It actually gets games played. Well, there is that as well. You'll always find an opponent, I think. True enough. Kevin's still here. Twice I put my brush in the drink. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, don't drink your drink. Or at least just use acrylic so that it's not they're non-toxic at least. Strange flavour afterwards. Oh, where are we at? There, okay, James. Nice chunky detail, perhaps. Oh, not up to bloody miniatures, but okay. You're an old bolt action fan as well. Okay, your bolt action games look great. Yeah, it certainly did. I agree with that, James. The complied side with BA was that the guy running it hadn't run it in a while, so finding the damn rules we needed at one time was a pain in the ass. I think they're relatively simple rules, aren't they? But I think the more you add to it. But I was just running infantry games anyway, the Band of Brothers stuff, so it was quite simple. I only had to remember a few things, and since pretty much everybody who played the game had never played bolt action before or wargaming before, I kind of made half the rules up to them, to be honest. I should have, looking back on it, I really should have just played Chain of Command instead of bolt action, but here we are. When it comes down to the nuts and bolts of it, they're relatively similar. It's that command dice thing that's different. I mean, the firing and stuff is relatively similar. I think Travis over at TTCP, they've been discussing it recently, the difference between the two. It's all the differences in the activations, isn't it? Right, so just got these last few to do now. Like I said, because I've been painting small amounts of flesh on everything, I'm really probably going to be I'm not my eyes are a bit crossed at this point, so I'm not going to be able to do much more, I don't think. Too small. You always find with BA you get one or two players who are from the GW fraternity. We play the lists for optimum performance with no relation to OOBs. Yeah, it's easy to pick up, but does have quite a bit of tactics to it. Yeah, I think my problem with it, Ken, is that everything gets to do something, and I don't like games where everything gets to do something. I like it where because you know at some point in your turn you are going to be able to activate everything and do something with it. So you could kind of just wait, or stack it a little bit, and that's the kind of thing I don't like about it. Used it for a wash on your walls. I'm wondering what a tanker after playing Andy's game of Crack On. Yeah, what a tanker's good fun. I'd like to play it against people. I've only played it solo, but it's a good crack. You play both assaults in Chain of Command, and there's bits of both I like, and that's fair enough. As I was saying on the Battle Bunker stream the other day, it's a broad church, this hobby. If everybody liked the same thing, it would be very boring. There's space for everything, and we all have our favourites, and everything has its detractors. Until the pudding comes into effect. Yes, of course. But I mean, even so, even then they're still getting a chance to unpin at some point. But yes, I know what you're saying. That's what turned you off, shit. Flames of War. That and the argument in a tournament where I ambushed someone's tiger with an M10. I hope you had one up the spout. And I hope you won. Right, last few of these. I do like these Peter Pig German figures that have got the that are carrying the Lewis guns. I think they're excellent. They're really nice. It's just a shame that they don't do the infantry version of the MG 15 as well. Not infantry version, but light machine gun version of it. Alright, there's another one. And then, as I say, this is going to be the last one for tonight. So I need to go back anyway and do a bit of repairing where I've overpainted various areas. And I'm not going to... It's going to take a while because there's so many of these bloody things to do. Right, let's just have a quick old look at what we're talking about in that old chat. Oh, bloody hell. Turn away for a second. Never like Flames of War after witness Gurkha versus 8th Army game at a show. Yes, that'll turn me off. I like when Travis used a jump off points in one of his bolt action games. Yeah, he did that recently. I didn't watch all of it, but yeah, he used it recently. You played your first game of bolt action recently. Had fun, killed a lot of Germans. Trouble was I was a German. Excellent. Talking about a book by Damian Lewis about the early days of Special Forces. Okay. The Tiger certainly put one up the exhaust pipe and the opponent rage quit. Peter Pig, yeah, great figures. Good to see you on board, Leslie. Okay, folks, I'm going to leave it at that, I think, tonight. So, hit that like button. Thanks, everybody, for watching. That's been a pleasure. Hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. And I've got quite a lot done there. I still need to go back and obviously, like I say, I'm going to do these in bits and pieces at this point, I think, and then hopefully over the next couple of weeks I'll have finished all of these off. I don't really have time after today, I don't think, until the weekend, or maybe at some point, I don't know, we'll see. Alright everybody, I shall sign out there and say thanks again for watching, and I'm not sure if there's going to be a live stream next week. There might be. There probably will be, in fact, because Claire's going back on Sunday, so I'll probably do a live stream on Tuesday, and if I do, I shall see you all then, and until then, good night.